Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, happy Friday. Is it Black Friday already? Are we seeing a discount with Bitcoin and crypto? The answer is yes. So why did Bitcoin and crypto crash further? And are we ever going to turn around? Let's discuss in this very unhappy Friday. All right, welcome. We're starting out the day at 84,000. Obviously, not a good place, especially compared to yesterday. We were hovering around 87, so we slid down a little bit more since even last night. And alts, of course, followed. The alts are down even more. So what is going on? Are we going to see a recovery? Well, today, we're starting out in green. And that's because we got a little bit of hope. And things did turn around quite a lot with this. The New York Fed president says further adjustments to rates are needed. He sees that we will have a rate cut in December because we need to protect jobs. And despite inflation, they have to ignore it. They just have to save jobs. That's it. Yesterday's jobs report wasn't great, and that was for September. If they have one for October, it's going to be worse. So because of this statement, we are now back to 75% for a rate cut next month. That is fantastic. We were at like 30-something% when I was looking at it yesterday, and it went up more than double to 70-something%. So a rate cut is definitely good. That's why the market turned around today. But yesterday, we know, was not a good day, not just for Bitcoin and crypto. There's just this risk-off asset buying spree right now. So risk-on assets are being sold. Yesterday was a horrendous day for markets, not just for Bitcoin, crypto, and for all things, really. Anything tech-related, AI-related, and especially crypto-related. So you look at the outflow yesterday, almost $1 billion of Bitcoin sold yesterday. 903. One of the worst days we have seen for a while now. Okay, and for about a week now, it's been, or more than a week, 2-3 weeks, it's been pretty red. BlackRock, biggest contributor, dumped 10,000 Bitcoin through their ETFs this week. 10,000. It's a lot. I didn't even bring up the other one. Or other ones, I should say. Ethereum down 261 million yesterday. Sol still took in, though, 23 million, so that's good. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are being sold off by Wall Street right now. Like I said, there's this risk-off asset appetite because there's just so much fear. There's just crazy amount of fear right now. Fear that we're not going to get a rate cut in December. Fear that AI bubbles go pop. Fear that other things may come out of the files that may affect things. There's a lot of fear out there right now. A lot of fear that we're in the bear market and we're not going to get a new top. Just look at the negative people in live chat that continues to FUD. You know, so it does look bad. It does look bad, but you know what? There's a reason for this. There is a reason for this. And if you look at the fear level and you look at something like this that occurred 3 years ago, it's a good reminder of why you don't want to panic. You want to focus long term, and why dips can be gifts. Okay, this happened 3 years ago. This happened after the FTX collapse. Bitcoin did this. Okay, fell down from 69,000 all the way down to about 16,000. People thought it was the end then too. And that was that was the low point. That was the low point of crypto winter, okay? And we have similarities to that right now, and we're not in crypto winter, so think about that. But we fell down 16K. Those that picked up, bought the dip, are still up 410%. So take a second to think about that, okay? Those that panic sold and said, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of Bitcoin, I'm out of crypto, well, they lost out on a lot of gains, okay? But we have seen this before. Now, like I said, that happened during the bottom of the last crypto winter. Are we at the bottom of crypto winter right now? Well, if we are, that would be a good thing because that means we're coming out of crypto winter. But we're not in crypto winter, right? But if we were, this would be a fantastic thing if you think about it, because that means we're about to reverse upwards. And we're about to go on a tremendous run. And it feels just like that because if you measure fear level and you measure like the indicators that are showing that Bitcoin is as oversold as this point, then you realize this is actually a gift. A gift that allows deep, deep discount buying, just like Black Friday. A lot of you guys love to buy things on Black Friday at discount. If you love Bitcoin and you love your crypto, why would you not want to buy it at a discount? We have a lot that are. Tether, of all people, okay, the biggest stable coin issuer out there, just bought $1 billion with the dip. And they have been buying a lot with their profits. They have been doing that for quite some time. But they decided, hey, it's a good time to buy the dip. They bought $1 billion. Okay, and there's other companies that have been doing so. Obviously, MetaPlanet is raising. Sailor continues to raise and buy. Here's one, DDC, that says they're going to buy 300 more Bitcoin. You got a lot of these Japanese companies that have been loading up, that have over 1,000 Bitcoin. This one bought about 100. It has about 762. So there are cool-headed, calm people and companies and institutions that are still buying. The fundamentals, still good. But short-term, near-term, you have a lot of panic sellers. There's no doubt about it, right? But panic selling normally does not lead to good things. Patient, long-term investors are the ones that win, not the short-term traders. Well, sometimes they do, okay? I can't say they always lose, but like Tom Lee said, there are a lot of holes right now, okay, with certain companies, certain entities. They're trying to patch it. It's all due to all the leverage and deleveraging and all the trading that's been going on. And I'll get to that in a little bit. It's probably the biggest reason why we're going through what we're going through. But there's other factors at play, I know. But it's one of the biggest things that I don't hear anyone else talk about. Max pain zone is between 73 and 84K. You know, guess what? We're in that zone. We're in that zone. So are we over with this crash, with this dump, with this dip? I don't know. But I do know the fundamentals have not changed. And we have a lot of these metrics that show that right now is as bad as the low point of the last cycle when Bitcoin hit 16,000, when FTX collapsed. Are we anywhere near as bad as 3 years ago? The answer is no. Just like this one, realized losses surged to levels last seen during FTX collapse. People are selling, panic dumping because of fear. how many of you guys would love to go back to 16K Bitcoin and go all in? Obviously, it's an easy decision now because you know where the price is versus before. But at that time, it was the same thing. Very little people wanted to buy the dip. No one wanted to take a chance, fearing that Bitcoin could go lower to 10K or back to 3K. We saw that before. But the few that did, the few that took advantage, are sitting pretty right now, and they're not worried. You know, after FTX collapse, guess what? Solana dropped to $8. People called for the death of Solana. People that picked up more than 10x, 20x, right? That's the thing. Panic dumping, especially in the environment that we're in, which is not crypto winter, is not the bear market. In fact, this reminds me, in last bull market, Bitcoin first went to 64,000. It dropped 50% to 28,000. 50%. And then it went up, back up to 69,000. That happened during the bull too. So right now, we're down about 32%. We're not down 50%. Have we seen a 32% drop before? Yes. Earlier this year in April. Have we seen one prior to that? Yes. A 34% drop back last year. So is this very unusual? Is this worse than what we have seen before? The answer is no. And what happened after those times that we went down 33, 32%? Well, you could see it on the chart what happened. We recovered quickly and we formed a new high. It's not like it has never happened before. It's not like we're going through a time we have never seen Bitcoin have a correction. It's not like we haven't seen a time where Wall Street was super panicked and is dumping everything. No, we saw it 6 months ago. Well, now 7. Back in April, we saw the same thing happen. From November all the way to April, guess what happened to US markets and Bitcoin? We had a crazy, tremendous correction, just like what we're going through now. Back then, what was the fear? The fear was tariffs, right? Now the fear is like, no more cuts. Like I said, there's a lot of fear out there. A lot of fear thinking that we are in a bear market. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend we are, which we're not. But if you look at how oversold we are, this is what we're going through right now. We're as oversold as the bottoms of the last few cycles. Take a second to think about that. RSI is as low as that 16K FTX collapse bottom. It's as low as the COVID drop bottom. It's as low as the 2018 crypto winter bottom. What happened after those bottoms? We had significant rallies afterwards. So think about it. We are now more oversold than the April bottom, than last year's 2023, 2024 bottom. We're as oversold as the 2022 FTX collapse crypto bottom. So what are you supposed to do with that information? Well, based on historical performance, based on historical movements, when you're this oversold, you're ready to bounce. You flip to the upside. And keep in mind, we're not in crypto winter right now. Unlike all those other times, they were. So, That's all I have to say to you guys, okay? You have to understand volatility is a price of admission for crypto. If it was that simple, everyone would be millionaires or billionaires. There are times when we go through this. This is the weeding out process. This weeds out people, the impatient people, the ones that don't understand, the ones that would never truly achieve what they're trying to achieve, which is financial freedom or wealth, because they're too short-sighted. But those that have a long-term plan, long-term vision to become financially free and build true wealth with Bitcoin and crypto, well then, you know what? Those guys eventually win because they're patient and they understand. And they stay in the game and they don't panic sell like a lot of people are doing right now. Now, the final thing I'll say is this. This interview, which I showed parts of it yesterday in my last night's video, okay? Tom Lee brings up a couple really interesting facts that I've never heard anyone else say. I think he has an insight that most analysts don't have or are afraid to say. I point this out. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I'll recap what I showed last night. He believes why we crashed and why there's so much weakness stems from last month, the October 10th liquidation event, the largest in history. The price of a stable coin, I'm just going to assume it's USDT, dropped from $1 to 65 cents. It was a software glitch. It didn't actually depeg, but it was a software glitch. But because of it, it auto-deleveraged all these accounts. In fact, he said 2 million accounts wiped out in an instant. Longs and shorts. And all the other exchanges that depend on liquidity from this one exchange also all deleveraged. Now, when asked who this exchange is, he said, I don't name drop, because he doesn't want to say it on TV. He doesn't want to be sued, but I think you guys all know who it is. And he says, because there's this giant hole that was made. Okay, basically, a lot of people lost money. This exchange lost money. The market makers, everyone that was dependent lost money. They're trying to fill that hole. And the best way to fill that hole is to keep prices low and keep volume low. So he's attributing this to basically one company. And since October 10th, it's been pretty bad and pretty volatile. And I've been saying, it seems like we have some kind of magical force that keeps on holding us back. He calls it out and he explains why. I think it's the best explanation. And there are many others on X now saying the same thing. They say they, and I say that too. But I think we all know who it is. And because of the deregulated nature right now in the US, it seems like things are just like being let go. This is one of those things that should not be let go. They got prosecuted before, and they should be prosecuted again and looked at. But the second thing I want to say is I didn't originally watch the second part of this interview. But he mentioned something that was very, very interesting about MicroStrategy. A lot of you guys know MicroStrategy stock has been hammered hard, more so than even Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, he brings up a good point that people that want to unload some risk, basically, you know, they have massive long positions or they have massive positions and they want to buy some on the reverse side to kind of hedge, right? There's no easy way for them to do so. The easiest way is actually to short MicroStrategy. And that's a brilliant analysis. Never thought about that, but he's saying that a lot of people he talk to, that's what they're doing. They have billions upon billions of Bitcoin, and they want to hedge during bad times. They don't want to sell their Bitcoin. So what do? They take a short position on MicroStrategy. So that's how they hedge. I'm like, that's brilliant. I would have never thought about that. And Tom Lee shares it. So, Tom Lee provides good stuff. Whether his vision for Ethereum is actually going to play out, although he talks about why he's so bullish on Ethereum, it's really because of RWA and stablecoins, those two reasons, because Ethereum still leads in those areas. But Tom Lee has some brilliant insight. I don't hear about any other analysts say the stuff that he does. But it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, guys. That's it. Let's see. Hood strategy, Coinbase up slightly. Nvidia, AMD still down. Got a little bit of a recovery here at 80, 85 almost. We'll see if we can build some momentum today. But there's too much negativity. And that could be a good thing. That could be used as a tool. We are as oversold and as negative as some of these major like dip areas or crypto winter areas. And if that's the case, that's a true true bottom or reversal point, right? Like if you look at RSI on the daily, we're like as low as 73, we're as low as 40 something, we're as low as 20 something. And look at what happened after those times. All right. Let's do some Q&A. As for MicroStrategy, Saylor already said, it doesn't matter what price Bitcoin goes down to, he doesn't need to sell. I think the worry is he has a lot of obligations coming up in 2027, 28, 29, 30. And I think the operations require him to basically keep on raising money and have stocks and have stock being elevated. I think that's the worry about MicroStrategy. Not that he has to sell Bitcoin right now from liquidation, no. But he has a lot of obligations to pay back a lot of money in the coming years. And if his stock is low and he can't do it, then maybe people speculate he has to sell Bitcoin. But we don't have to worry about that until like 2027 or 2028. Got a lively chat in here. Not all good, but a lot of people in here chatting. Negative Nancy's will turn into positive Patricia's. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Do you get paid when we chat? No, I do not. Well, unless you send a super chat, then yes. But Google takes like 50% of it. Gary T of the North, whole coiners will inherit the earth. Basically, most people on the planet are not investors because they don't have the foresight to predict or to prepare for the future. Okay. So they don't really care. They don't care what's going on right now, right? There's a lot of people in your everyday lives, I'm pretty sure, that you bump into that have no investments whatsoever. So they don't really care. But they're also slowly getting killed by inflation. They don't realize that. They think stimulus checks are great, and getting paid every week and being surviving off of that is great. And some have no choice. I realize that. But what they don't realize is what the Fed and central banks have been doing with printing and with our deficit and our borrowing. They're making dollars and fiat more worthless every single year. So it makes regular people that don't invest their lives harder every year. And it compounds greatly over the course of 10, 20 years, right? So that's why we do invest. But when you invest, it's not gambling. There are a lot of people that come in thinking that they can make quick money and leave. That's really like gambling. If you're investing, you have to invest long term. That's why you're investing, because you're trying to prepare for long term, for your future. So you got to understand that, hey, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, but the ones that built the most wealth from investing are the ones that are most focused on the future. The ones that have the most patience, that have done the research, and they don't panic due to some of these drops. In fact, these are the drops that help you make the most money. You don't want to FOMO in at top. You want to buy when it's at bottom. I'll tell you, like, even from this year, okay, I loaded up quite a lot back in April. Okay, I was loading up even before then, like probably like February, March, April, because obviously last year from the election to like December, January was really good, and then we started sliding down. I loaded up a lot while we were falling down, and they have really paid off, right? But you just don't know. Sometimes you don't know. Maybe we would have, if we didn't turn around April, maybe we could have slid more in May or June. But I felt the time was right because we went down 30-something%. It's that feeling right now. It's not just with Bitcoin and crypto. Overall, equities have fallen quite a lot. Some over 30%. It just feels like it's a golden opportunity. Bold Eagle says printer is about to be turned on. Yes, that too. The Fed is going to cut. One way or another, we're going to get that cut next month. And we're going to get more in 2026. Because the reality is our job market is struggling. Unemployment is starting to go up. And the Fed needs to save that. And once Powell is gone, we know that we're going to get a very bullish Fed chair. Okay, very bullish meaning one that's very for rate cuts. That could also sway things. So just yesterday, there was a lot of fear about how we're not going to get a rate cut in December. And look at today, all of a sudden, from one Fed president saying that I think we're going to cut, the probability jumped up to 75%. Things could change really quickly. Tom Lee also said usually the recoveries from these giant dips are twice as fast as the trip down. So if it's been a month and a half of this like sell-off, that means within maybe 3 weeks we could recover. We need to get over whatever is happening, and Tom Lee believes for crypto is all due to this giant hole this one exchange has to fill. Robinhood like is another example too. They're down like 30% from a few weeks ago because now there's fear about crypto and trading. Same thing with Nvidia. Nvidia slid down yesterday after a crazy earnings report. It goes to show you panic when it hits. People do irrational things. They panic sell. They're panic selling things that they shouldn't be panic selling, but they are because they can't help it. And they're doing it out of fear, or they're following the herd. Those are the ones that will not make money and will never achieve what they're trying to achieve, which is financial freedom. If you understand what you're investing in, you got to have a long-term vision. You got to hold it and possibly DCA into it and wait for that to fulfill. You can't be buying top and selling bottom and then buying top again and selling bottom. That's not how it works, at least not with building wealth. They said Nvidia lied about earning. Who's they? No public trade company, especially not the biggest one on the planet, is going to be lying about their earnings. There's no need for them to. No, they. If you guys are referring to what Tom Lee is saying about they, he opens up and says just one exchange, one market maker that has the hold the gap to fill. It's very obvious and very easy to guess who it is. I don't want to say aliens, but aliens. Aliens are outside of Matrix, just peeking in to check how we're doing. Maybe we are the aliens and they are the humans. Or maybe we're just a construct of the Matrix. So we're not even individuals. We're not even life. We're just simulations. Dan Webb, welcome. New member. Rami, okay, I appreciate your enthusiasm over Clash. I don't know how one buys Clash in Africa, okay? You don't have to keep spamming it. You can buy it on a DEX like anyone else, like on Phantom or Jupiter. Perfectly fine in Africa or anywhere. So you just have to learn how to do it. This is the lowest IQ chat I've ever seen. It's not that bad. Okay, it's not that bad. Look at the bottoms of these previous panic moments. The bottom of 2018, $3,000. The bottom of COVID, $3,800. Bottom of FTX, it's actually 16, not 18,000. And look at where we are. We're like right there. Outflows have been pretty bad, except for Solana. So that's why I think Solana is actually holding a little bit better than the rest. But Bitcoin and Ethereum outflows clearly show one thing, that there are many on Wall Street that are just as fearful as retail investors, because they are retail investors and they are selling because they're fearful, and many others are doing the same. They're following their herd. But they will buy back because most people like to FOMO. They don't like to buy the dip. They like to FOMO in. And I've noticed that too. Even with Clash, you have a lot of people that, I'll give you one example. This one guy that sold like $70,000 worth of Clash. He sold it at bottom. He wants to come to the Vegas party. I'm like, okay, then buy back. And then now he says, well, I don't want to buy back because it's higher now. I'm like, no shit. That's why you should not have panic sold in the first place. So I have no sympathy for him. And he has done it before. So, but that's how normally people are. They will sell at the bottom due to fear. And they eventually buy back at the top due to FOMO. But that's the opposite of what you want to do. Look at the bright side. The price of yachts keep falling. Hopefully they are lagging the rest of the market. There are some like nice cars that are also depreciating like crazy. So Lazaro says you can swap Bitcoin for Sol on Trust Wallet, then get Clash. No need for exchange for a swap. It works great. Or just go to Phantom. Or, I mean, Trust Wallet works because it supports. By the way, we have another big tournament. Okay, today. Very easy to sign up. You can sign up right on the front page. You can watch. But you go to the tournament, you'll learn about all the fantastic prizes that we're giving out for players, for spectators. Very easy to win. A lot of money in terms of Sol being given out. A lot of you guys are looking to make some money. This is a great way while playing a game. But in case you want to know how to buy, it's very easily broken down here. Very easy. Everything is in here. The webpage is working great. It looks great. We have our accounts going. Our treasury is still filled. So, highly recommend everyone get involved. And we have a referral system. If you invite your friends and family and people on socials to join the tournament, you can earn rewards too. It's all built within the account. So join in. Really no excuse. I'm out of coffee. Too broke to play video games right now? That's why we're giving out prizes. First place, 2 Sol. Second, 1 Sol. Third, 0.75. Fourth to 10.5. You could double that or triple that just by being a Clash holder. Plus, outside the top 10 players win 0.3 Sol. 10 spectators win 0.2 Sol. The chances are pretty high because we only have maybe 300 people overall. So your chance of winning is extremely high. And that's all for playing a game. You could probably make more by playing this game than going out and working at a fast food joint. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, I saw Dan Webb gave out 5 memberships. Forgot to mention it. Thank you. Instead of giving away Sol, give out season passes. Too hard. Too complex. When you create an account, you give your wallet and it makes it so much easier. Shilly, I think you're the one that's always talking FUD about Discord, man. It's like we have thousands of people in there chatting, talking. I'm in there all the time. We have warnings about do not accept DMs. Do not talk to random people that DM you, impersonators. I think, weren't you the one that says, oh, I couldn't figure out how to join before? You're giving feedback, but you're also trying to scare people away. You could say like, oh, a lot of people are impersonators. You know, you should do something about that, rather than say, oh, I had to leave an hour because there's so much impersonators or scammers. So what kind of feedback is that? You're trying to scare people from not joining. There are a lot of impersonators you guys know that try to impersonate me on all social media platforms. And they do so with Discord too. And they're not even in the server. So the best thing is just don't respond to DMs. That's it. It happens everywhere. Even on X, there are a lot of impersonators. There's like impersonators on YouTube. People always say, well, why are you commenting on this so-and-so weird coin? It's not me. You just have to be smart about it and think about it. Is George really saying this, or is he really trying to DM me? The answer is no. MJ, you don't. This is just AI. I'm not really here. I just have AI do the streams for me now. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Remember, scared money doesn't make money. Is that how it goes? People that are impatient, people that don't understand, people that are trying to gamble never achieve what they're trying to achieve, which is to build financial freedom and build wealth. Okay, remember, investing is a long-term thing. It's not short-term. Understand what you're investing in and look at the bigger picture. When it comes to Bitcoin, nothing fundamentally has changed. Okay, we're going through a rough patch, according to Tom Lee, due to this one exchange. But I know there's other macro factors at play. Fear about cuts. Fear about tariffs still. Fear about a lot of stuff. They will pass. Just like all the previous times before. So stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tonight with our big tournament. Make sure you join it. Go to the webpage, georgeplaysclashroyale.com, and click on that tournament. And I hope to see you guys there. All right? Have a good one. Take care.